There's a strange silence inside grand monuments. The kind that feels too heavy to be holy, too polished to be honest. You can feel it in the air, as if the stone itself is trying to forget what it was built to remember. This is the story of how memory can be bought, how power, even after death, can rent a place in history. When we talk about dictators, we imagine the blood, the prisons, the speeches, but rarely the monuments. Those temples of remembrance that rise not from gratitude, but from guilt, fear, and money. They are everywhere, from the sprawling marble avenues of Pyongyang to the golden mausoleums of Eastern Europe, to the perfectly air-conditioned museum halls in Manila, where history has been curated to smile. There's an old saying, architecture is frozen power. If that's true, then dictators never really die. They just turn into stone. Let's start in North Korea. The Mansu Hill Grand Monument towers over Pyongyang. Two 66-foot statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, their faces frozen in divine perfection. Every visitor must bow. Every flower must be bought. Every photograph approved. Here, memory is mandatory. It's not built for reflection, but for worship. The statues cost millions, a staggering amount for a country that can't feed its people. But that's the point. The higher the monument, the smaller the citizen feels. Half a world away in Spain, the Valley of the Fallen cuts into a mountain, a vast cathedral of stone built by prisoners under Franco's regime. It was meant to honor all who died in the war. But most of the dead buried there were the very people Franco executed. For decades, Spaniards drove past it in silence, unsure whether it was a memorial or a monument to cruelty. Even now, long after Franco's remains were exhumed, the stone refuses to confess. In Russia, Stalin's image returns again and again, in murals, medals, even ice sculptures. When asked why, one sculptor said, "He was cruel, but he made us powerful." Power has always had a good memory and a bad conscience. Then there's the Philippines. The Marcos regime left behind more than corruption. It left art. The cultural capital of the Philippines. The grand halls, the golden theaters, symbols of a new society. It was all paid for by the people and built to tell a story of beauty while they starved outside its gates. Decades later, tourists still take photos in front of it. Some don't know. Some don't care. That's how history fades, not through destruction, but through indifference. The truth is, every dictator knows their time will end. So they build, not for the present, but for immortality. A kind of architectural insurance policy against being forgotten. But here's the trick. When you visit those monuments today, the guides, the plaques, the restored marble, you'll notice something strange. They never lie outright. They just leave things out. A name here, a massacre there, a story polished away like dirt from a statue's face. That's how memory is bought, not with money alone, but with silence. But who gets to remember truthfully? In Argentina, the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo march every Thursday, wearing white scarves embroidered with the names of the disappeared. They have no monuments, only footsteps. But their footsteps have outlasted the generals who killed their children. In Germany, the Stolpersteine, little brass stones in the streets, each bears the name of a Holocaust victim, placed where they once lived. They're not tall, not grand. You could trip over them if you're not looking. That's the point. They make you see. Maybe the most honest monuments are the ones that refuse to glorify anyone, the ones that whisper instead of shout. History is not a museum. It's a battleground. Every statue, every plaque, every carefully restored facade is a weapon in the war over memory. The question isn't who built them. It's who's paying to keep them standing. Because when a regime falls, its monuments don't collapse immediately. They linger, like ghosts that cost money to maintain. The marble still needs cleaning, the lights still need electricity, the myths still need defending, and someone, always someone, is still paying for them. Maybe that's what dictators really buy. Not eternal life, not love, but a delay, a few more decades of pretending their story still matters. But time is the one monument they can't afford. Because no matter how high you build your statue, the ground beneath it will remember everything you tried to erase.